Go. Well, welcome. Um, Thank you, Andy Glass, lead guitarist, and also Jess Holland, lead vocalist of the band Solstice. Welcome here to ProgressiveRockCentral.com. We thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to be here to discuss your new album or EP, Light Up. And it's just a fantastic way to open the new year. It was released January 13th, and we've got both of them here to discuss and talk about the EP. Andy, I guess well, do you guys want to just say hi first, and then I'll.
Yeah, hi Mark. Thanks for having us on. Let me just say, you're referring it to as an EP. We consider it an LP. Yeah, we
Okay.
consider it an LP. And it's like a 45 minutes of music, so it's sort of old school. It fits on a vinyl, and that's pretty much what we had in mind, to be fair, when we were recording it. We thought this is just going to fit on a piece of vinyl, man. It's going to be great.
Well, and the idea about the EP was somewhere in the press release that I saw EP, but yeah, I listened to it and I was like, this doesn't sound like an EP. There's enough here. This really sounded like an album. So I was wondering why they even mentioned it. But
Yeah, no,
thank
it's a
thank
bogus.
you for clarifying that. Anything you want to say, Jess, or?
No, just thank you so much for having us. And the fact that, our music is hitting the States as well is it's just something else, really. Got no words for it at the moment.
All right. Well, I'll start with Andy because you're the man that put this together, or one of the people that definitely the founders of the band. So I'll ask you, give us a little history of the band. It's new to me, but the band has been around for a long time.
Yeah, okay.
Go ahead.
I'll be as concise as I can, but it's a very long history. So me and a guy called Mark Elton, a fiddle player, we started the band in 1980, and we were from a community that included bands like Marillion, and so as they were making their way, we were kind of on their coattails. They were giving us supports, and they got through to the Marquee Club, which was a very famous club in Soho in London, and gave us supports. And then we got our own headlines there, and then bands like IQ and Pendragon and others. We gave them supports, and then they got their own gigs there, and we ended up at Reading Festival, and we played Glastonbury Festival, and there was a short period of 5 years where the band was very active, and we were touring an awful lot. We only managed to record one album in 1984, which was called Silent Dance, and we still play some material off that, actually. And then the band kind of fell apart, and I got into session work and played with some great people over the years, and we kind of fired it up again in the mid-90s and did an album called Circles. We had Clive Bunker on drums, from Jethro Tull.
Jethro Tull, yeah.
Yeah. So that gave us, access to some great gigs and some great people. And I got to know Ian Anderson, and then ended up working with Jethro Tull for quite a few years at the end of the 90s. So the band was kind of on and off, and then we just at that point we had done 3 albums, and then in 2006. We got the band together again with a kind of largely new lineup. So I was only, even in the 90s, I was the only original member of the band. So we refired again in 2006, and we've kind of been going ever since. And we do like a few gigs, we do an album occasionally. So that's kind of the history in a nutshell. But and we've been going fairly consistently, but everything changed during lockdown, really, because we'd kind of got to a point where the band had sort of lost its mojo a bit, and and what we decided was that we needed to kind of change things up a little bit, and I got in touch with Jess, and me and Jenny, the fiddle player in the band, we'd been working with Jess for a few years in another project, and Jess came up and tried a few things, and man, it just clicked straight away. It was amazing. So this is from that moment at the beginning of 2020, everything's changed. It's kind of like, in some ways, it's like it was in the early 80s.
Like
it's
a
that
rebirth.
kind of, it's like a rebirth, man. It really is. And I mean, although apart from Jess, it's the same lineup that has been going since 2006. We have a completely, fresh outlook and new energy and creative energy, and that's produced Sheer, and now it's produced Light Up. So that's about as concise as I can be.
No, that's very good. And that smile she's given you and that wonderful voice absolutely adds a new dimension to the band, and it's really fantastic. And we're far away from the Solstice, but just the first time I heard this album, I was like, oh, God, please let the Solstice get here. Not that it's been that bad here. I mean, sometimes it can get really, well, you're from England. It can get really dreary and rainy out here as well. And we look forward to the solstices, brighter mornings, brighter evenings. And is that kind of the idea behind the band? Because the music definitely reflects that. But
well, I mean, I was the community that I was living in before we started Solstice was a very much a kind of hippie community.
sure.
We were living in old buses and caravans and tree houses, and it was we were living an alternative life, really, which is incredibly difficult to do in this country. It's a small country. Every inch of land is owned by someone, and none of them want you to go on it. So, and also, and the government. Yeah, the government has also passed laws that made it incredibly difficult for the traveling community. Is still the same now, so I kind of came out of that whole ethos, and before the band started, we were kind of regulars at the free festivals, at Stonehenge and Glastonbury, and so we've kind of always embraced that kind of alternative, I want to say hippie ethic, really, but you know what I mean,
I'm a child of the 60s. I understand.
Right on, I mean, I was born in the 60s,
I'm on board.
and I wanted to, that whole thing since I was a little kid, that was just what I was drawn to. So I guess that informed the name, and that kind of informed the ethos of the band, really. So, the Solstice, I mean, I remember playing Stonehenge Free Festival on the Solstice, and
Can't get any better than that.
That was pretty epic, man. Yeah. So, and then last year we got to play at Glastonbury, which is right after right after the Solstice, and again that whole Glastonbury thing is just part of that same community and that same ethos, So we're still at it. We're still doing it, man.
That's great. Good to hear. I hope it never changes. Before we discuss the album in its entirety, or as much as you want to, do you have some tour plans you want to talk about, or what's going on besides the release of the album this year? Do you want to talk about any of that?
Yeah, sure. We've got last year we did this thing has been building, and last year we did a lot of festivals and we did a lot of great gigs, and that is sort of feeding into, it's kind of opening some doors for us, really. And so this year we've got some great some great gigs and shows lined up, and they're still coming in. So, and of course, so we want to tour the album and we want to play as much of it as we can. And I mean, we start March the 3rd. We're playing. I mean, these are all UK gigs pretty much. We're doing Fusion Festival, which is a great prog festival here in the UK in March, and then we're going to Holland, to the Netherlands, to play another Prog Dreams, which is another big festival, and that's really exciting to me. That's a venue that it's been an ambition of mine to play. So we're starting to kind of get these doors opening, and then we have a string of gigs with a little mini tour with Italian bands who are coming over, which would be great. And the sort of big and plenty of others, but the big one for us is, you may not have heard of it, but you would have heard of Fairpool Convention, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They're very famous.
So they, for about
there's 30, a lot of tie-ins with Jethro Tull as well.
Of course, that's right. Yeah, and in fact, when we had Clive Bunker in the band, we played at Cropperty Festival, which was '98, and it was a big festival then. But it's continued to grow. It's been going for 30 years. So it's like one stage, 20,000 people. And they booked us for this year in a real prime spot, so it's super exciting for us, and an opportunity to play to a real, a big audience, many of which won't have seen us play before. So there's some exciting live stuff coming up for sure.
Excellent. Yeah, I think when you mentioned that, the name Dave Pegg kind of popped up, right? Didn't he? He was with Tull and then decided to go back to Fairport Convention, or?
Yeah. So it's Peggy that I've been dealing with to get the gig. He's very instrumental in deciding who's going to play that festival. So he's a lovely man. Yeah.
Ian said a lot of wonderful things about him, I remember, in interviews in the past. So yeah, excellent. Jess, we're not ignoring you. Tell us a little bit. Tell us a little bit about your involvement and what made you want to join this wonderful band. Your voice is fantastic, by the way. Thanks.
Thanks, Mark. So I'd always known, because I've known Andy and Jenny for over a decade, and growing up, Andy and Jenny had always mentioned Solstice, so I knew of the band but had no real interest in it.
Thanks.
No, it doesn't.
I know what you meant, but it was just the way you said it.
It was always just this kind of like, oh, the CDs were there if you wanted to buy it, which is always quite funny now thinking about it, because when it comes to playing live, some of my favorite songs, like, yes, I love the new albums, but my favorite songs to play are from the old albums that I get to interpret myself and I get to put my spin on it. But Andy basically had messaged me, and we'd been talking about coming up to do a couple of songs just to try it out, see what I thought. And from there, honestly, after having some recording sessions with him and realizing that I'm not just there just singing, it was Andy opening a lot of windows and going, what would you do here, and how would you change this, and giving me a lot of creative freedom in something that, how Andy writes, is that he will write the song and then allows the rest of the band to interpret it as they will. And from there it really took off, and we were just constantly in the studio. I think we had 2 or maybe 1 session. I was severely poorly, but I still had great fun. And then lockdown happened. So as it happened, I was very lucky. Andy had lent me some speakers and a microphone.
Oh.
And I don't think if it weren't for that, I wouldn't have been able to sit in my parents' house whilst everyone was locked away and just sing and sing and sing and sing. But that whole recording process, I think, was very odd, because at that point I still hadn't met most of the band. So I only got to know them through the music. So I met Pete, Rob, and Steve via drums, bass, and keys. And then I think it just got to the point where it turned around and Andy went, "Oh, look, there's enough songs for an album. We're going to release an album." And we did music videos, photo shoots. I got to meet the band for the first time, and we rehearsed. And I think even from the moment of meeting them all properly, I felt so welcome. Like, there's quite a big age gap, but I don't think that has ever been an issue. Like, it's a community, it's a family. We are literally there living and breathing the music. And from where I was at my point in my music career is that I'd done university and I'd studied music, and then I'd had a very quiet period of not doing music much at all. And to then work with people who are professionals was a big game changer for me. The fact that it was like, I've got to up my game, and that they have this following, that's friends of Solstice on Facebook, and there are just fans from when the band started out in 1980, and there are more people just buying into what we create. Like, there was no way that I was going to turn around and be like, I'm not going to be part of this, because it's changed like my perspective of like how I live my life, and it's also made me so much better of a singer, because I never used to think of myself as a singer. So it's, things like your voice is lovely, and like your compliments, they do mean a lot, because it's taken me a long time to get to this point, and especially with being fourth in Prog Mag's top 10 vocalists.
Oh yeah,
the N22.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Like, where did that come from?
Yeah.
I don't know. And I have to thank the fans and the people who nominated me for seeing and listening and yeah, making me part of that.
I mean, I mean, as Jess says, we've known her for a long time, and I know she doesn't or didn't consider herself a singer, but I mean, I can remember when you were like, 13 or 14 or something, and singing songs that you were writing, and you were definitely a singer. but Jess is is just an extraordinary musician. She plays a range of instruments. It just has that incredible kind of creative musical mind and ability to express it. But sure, when we did Shia, which is the album Jess has just been talking about, this was completely new, and I was just adoring what Jess was doing and what she was bringing to it. Oh my God, man, you okay?
Yeah, no, I don't know what's going
on. Okay. What Jess was
all morning, it just sorry.
Creatively and what she was contributing to it. But and I was just couldn't have been happier with the way the album came together. But the way that has developed over 2 years of playing music together is just blowing my mind, Mm-hmm. So what we have now with the new album is Jess having, really found her place in the band, done a load of great gigs, worked out the whole live thing, and then bringing all that into the studio for the next album is why, to me at least, this is just an incredible progression from the first album, and also for me, it's having, back in the day, my kind of creative muse was Mark, the fiddle player, and we could throw stuff around, and we fought a lot, actually. We did a lot of fighting, but anyway, it was the partnership, and now we can't, and now, I feel I've got that again, so Jess will come in and we'll just be full of ideas, and her character as a musician massively informs the music that we're making and the way it sounds and the character of it, and this is what has been missing for me for 35 years, is it something like that? So It's just such a buzz, and that's all reflected, I think, in just what's happening in my personal drive and motivation to take the music as far as we can, and also the bands. The band is, we're all kind of energized, and we all want to do more, and that's a beautiful place to be. You know, the band. If I mean, Jess said it's kind of like a family, but it's, it is, it's a happy family, man, and it's, I don't know, it's just, I couldn't wish for more, than to be making music that we're loving and going out and playing it. And the response from the audience is just, just makes that snowball keep rolling, man,
Have you played any of these new songs?
Live?
Yeah, that's. I don't know why that word didn't come out. But yeah.
Two of them currently. We actually were kind of workshopping whilst we were playing all of the festivals last summer, and just kind of shaping them and seeing what worked, what didn't work, which were Light Up, the first track, and also Mount Ephraim. Because Andy had written that one so that we could get a gig at a festival, which is, I'm sure he'll explain later. But of course, we're wanting to do another one, which is, I don't know whether I should spoil it. Maybe we should keep it a secret to which one we're going to be doing next, because it'd be interesting to see what people want to hear live. The annoying thing is, like, I want to do them all, but as a prog band, or as a band who has multiple songs that last more than 7 minutes at least, it's hard to squeeze in when you've got like an hour of playing 3 songs and you've got to pack down again. So we've done 2. We're doing another one, which I think is going to be very interesting to play through it. Because Andy wrote the song. We recorded it in our own separate places, or I was in the studio with Andy and Jenny was in the studio with Andy, but we've not played it live together. We haven't rehearsed it to see what it's like live, which is what happened with Shia, actually, because that was all recorded through lockdown. We had to really figure out, like, oh, that's what I played in that track. Yeah, but more new music is coming, definitely.
Well, you jumped way ahead. You're already talking possibly about a new album. How soon?
Well, we just need to write it and record it,
You jumped ahead.
No. I mean, that's right.
No pressure.
We're very much thinking about the next album, and I think where are we? 2025 realistically, probably maybe the end of 24, but we're going to keep this going. And I've just got this thing about because of the connection between Shia and Light Up. I mean, it's an obvious connection, but I've got this thing about a trilogy, about 3 albums that kind of that just kind of bookend this particular phase of what we're doing. It just feels like right for some reason. So we'll be cracking on. I mean, actually, we've got new music that we need to complete. We've got another thing that we might release as a single later this year. But yeah, there's another album coming for sure, and maybe it will be the Shia trilogy. We'll see.
Well, that sounds good. Let talk a little bit about Light Up. You already did talk about Light Up itself. Here comes those warnings from Zoom that I was talking about. But wait a minute, what is okay? But are you still there?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought we lost it. Usually they give you a warning. They're saying 10 minutes. But yeah, go ahead and talk a little bit about Light Up, if you want to. The song itself.
The song. Okay, sure. Yeah, I mean,
fantastic way to open an album.
Yeah, well, actually, I'll be honest. That Jess had recorded these lovely vocal harmonies in the middle section of the song, because it's kind of like two sections really.
Yeah.
And then, you know, as often happens, when I'm mixing and then I just solo Jess's stacked harmonies, they just, whoa, man, they just sound so good. And I suddenly thought, this is how we should open the song. So actually, it opens with Jess singing, but that is actually from the middle of the song, you know. So we brought it to the beginning, and it's like, what a lovely way to open the album. What a sort of statement. It's a statement, isn't it? Because the song is really just an expression of positivity, you know. I mean, it's an expression of the way I think we're all feeling about the music and about working together and playing for these audiences. So that's kind of what the premise of the song and the lyrics are about. But that was a last second thing, you know. It's just finishing it up, and I just suddenly thought, wow, let's open it like that. So as Jess says, you know, you kind of make all these decisions, and then when you play them live, you've got to work out how the hell you're going to do it, you know. It's like, and what this has led to, you know, Jess's input has led to us. You know, we could have gone two ways really. We could have gone, okay, because we were determined to be able to present these harmonies live. So one way would be you use a sampler, right? You know, which you know, I've been in situations before when bands have used samples, or you get some more singers in and they sing the harmonies. So that's what we've done. And if anyone sees any of the videos, you'll see that there's two singers working with us now. Ebony Buckle, who's I highly recommend you check out, Ebony Buckle, and Jen Sanin, who are two great musicians. Fantastic musicians. So the band is kind of a big band now. So that's the other thing.
Yeah, you've grown.
And then, and then the other thing for me personally about trying to play these things live is that when you know, the guitar solos, I just blow them in the studio. You know, I just blow a solo, and I think, yeah, that's okay, and I blow another one, and then you know, without thinking about it, it's just a completely kind of automatic response to what I'm hearing and how I feel. And then
fantastic solos, by the way, throughout this album. For those
thank you so much.
Listening to this, definitely. I mean, there's so much in this album, but his guitar solos are like Steve Hackett level. I mean, they're just
thank you. I mean, you know, I literally I don't know what I'm doing. You know, I'm not a school musician.
Oh, come on.
I just play. I just play over it. You know, I'm not thinking about what the notes are or anything about that. So it is an honest response to, you know, to the music and how, you know,
the music, yeah.
Just feel it, yeah. So, but the problem with that is then you kind of do all these things, and then you've got to kind of figure out what you did. If you want to play
down, yeah.
If you want to play that solo live, then you're going to have to go back and figure out what you did, and that always takes me forever. You know? But it's the same.
It's the same with the vocals, because my harmony stacks it's not just the main vocal and then two harmonies. It's like an excruciating amount, like 6-7 harmonies, all double tracked. So then when we come to rehearsals, which we've got in a few weeks' time, it's going, which harmony would we like? Which harmony is going to be more important? Because then we've got to work out what's Ebony singing, what's Jen singing. And yeah, it's all fun though, because
but it's the same as the soloing really, because when you're in here working on the vocals, you're just going, oh, I can hear this, or I can hear that, and then you know, I'll have a kind of basic melody mapped out, and then Jess will go, just sing something completely random or off, you know, and they're always the bits that I love. You know, super creative about, you know, just interpreting things. You know, she just interprets it in her own way, with her own, you know, character and whatever she hears and feels, which is kind of like soloing, you know, or improvising. And then you end up, as Jess says, you end up with all this stuff that you've got to somehow make translate to the live thing. And the live thing is, you know, we just loving that, man. We love that. So we want it to be, we really want to represent the music as best we can live, you know.
All right. Well, normally I do like a track by track thing, but we're running out of time, and I don't, you know, if you feel comfortable doing that, I'd be happy to do it. Are there tracks that you want to definitely talk about? You mentioned one that I particularly like, the longer track, which was fantastic. But go ahead. You tell me which direction you want to go in. And do you feel okay about maybe doing a second, maybe shorter, onto this right after?
Well, we
happy
just
to-
run out of time.
Yeah, I was going to say, otherwise we've got 3 minutes to very quickly talk. I'm happy to,
Yeah,
Let's go.
we'll reconnect for a little bit and cover it.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, let's go with Woggle, number 9. Tell us a little bit about that one. Yeah, you both like that.
And also, it sounds so
well,
much better when you say Wongo, because like a British Wongo sounds very different to an American Wongo.
Wongo.
So-
Well,
Yes, I love it.
you really liked it. All right. Well, I compared it to Yes meeting Steely Dan in the studio and putting something together. Was I way off base, or?
Well, no, not at all. I mean, I think we kind of touched on a bit of a Steely Dan vibe accidentally with Shia with a track called "Stand Up," which I thought, where the hell's this come from? And it sounds to me, I'm getting like a Steely Dan vibe from it. But with Wongo, number 9, I think there really is a kind of, I can see why people might think, hey, there's a sort of a Chris Squire thing going on in there.
Yeah.
Because I was hearing that. Definitely, you know, do, 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 do.
Yeah,
You know,
not that you're copying, or anything like that. I never, but just the
No.
Yeah.
It's well, I mean, the thing is, you may very well inadvertently copy something. I mean, there's only 12 notes, aren't there? You know, it's bound to happen. But certainly that was never a conscious thing. I mean, to me, Wongle is a funk track. You know,
Yeah.
it's a funk thing, but it does have, you know, the way the bass crosses over with the organ. There's some very kind of fragile era, Yes.
Yeah.
You know, things going on in there, aren't there? You know.
Yeah.
And I definitely, when I first listened to it with the vocals as part of it, was thinking Red Hot Chili Peppers, like how it's very the very short kind of punchy, catchy lyrics. Yeah.
Definitely.
Also, we still just question where the Wongle came from, and how it got so funky. To be honest.
Yeah, where did you come from?
Wongle in the jungle. He knows.
No, that doesn't rhime, Mark. But I know what you're meaning. I know what you're getting at. A bungle in the jungle. It's that's a Jethro Tull thing, isn't it?
Yeah, Jethro Tull. Bungle.
Yeah. So the name actually means, Wongle actually means super funky bass line. Have you heard that before?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. There you go. There you go.
I'm just teasing.
Just made that up.
You had that Jethro Tull connection. I had to somehow put it in the review.
Drop it in. Okay.
That was the way I did it. Yeah.
Yeah, and then so yeah, I'm loving. You know, I mean, I don't, when I'm writing, I'm not